Mortgage Coach. And today we have Carl White. What is up, Mr. Carl White?
Man, I'm sitting here. I call this my lockdown room. When I'm working on stuff, I put myself in a lockdown mode, no distractions. So that's where I'm at today, man. It's just another beautiful day here at the secret headquarters in Tampa Bay.
Right on. Well, I'm in the not so secret headquarters in Irvine, California of Mortgage Coach. Usually when I'm recording these, I'm in a WeWork office in Portland, Oregon, but I'm in sunny Southern California today. I do want to share my screen real quick, and if you could just confirm that you can see it real quick. Can you see my screen? I'll assume that's a yes. All right.
Yep,
I
do.
Yep. All right, Mortgage Coach community. So I want to shine a light on a few things before I bring Carl in and we formally do our interview. I want to make sure everyone who's a Mortgage Coach member is aware of the new launch of the new total cost analysis. You've probably seen that. There is a video on our YouTube page that I think it's just a couple minutes long that will walk you through some of the new features and functions. Also, I started a new playlist called Best of 2018. So these are some of the, just the things that we got the most reviews on. I am surprised. I did this interview, and by the way, Marcy, I think I'm getting some echo on yours. I just muted it. Yep, there goes the echo. I just did an interview with the former chief futurist of Intel, Steve Brown, and that has been watched almost 1,000 times now, and we haven't really even promoted it. So I think why that's resonating so much is here we have a guy who's a chief futurist for Intel, super smart on where technology is going, and he really did a nice job of making a case at just how much change is going to take place over the next 2 years. Think about this. Like I took a lot of takeaways from this 30-minute interview, but the biggest takeaway was that we're going to, think of the amount of change we've had over 10 years. We're going to see that much change over the next 2 years. So check out that interview. Also, we released the interview with Darren Hardy last week. That's the second most watched video of the year so far. Todd Duncan kicked off the year. And then this Friday, I interviewed Bill Hillstad. Great interview, focused on internet or social marketing. Highly recommend you check that out. Do want to remind everybody, every single Friday I'm doing a mastermind. So this is like, come on in. Sometimes we have a special guest, but we're there to answer your questions. So check that out. Also, today we are going to be focusing the conversation on Carl White. He is a special guest of the day. I don't think there's anyone that's more well-known in the mortgage business when it comes to making the phone ring than Carl White. Now, last time I interviewed him, we focused on, how to be more proactive, how to close a lot of business and scale without having constant fires. But today we're going to go into Carl's wheelhouse, and he's got some slides, he's got some ideas that will just help us make the phone ring. Carl, as you're taking us through your concepts and your ideas to generate leads, bring me in whenever you think I can add a little value on conversion, because I do want to make sure we, how to get leads, how to drive conversion. But with that said, Carl, I'll hand it off to you. And I don't know whether you want to interview back and forth or you just want to go into presentation mode.
Well, brother, first of all, it's just an honor to be here. I feel like I'm on the Jimmy Fallon show, man. You just listed the who's who of mortgage industry. And brother, I would say you're the most connected person in our industry and truly an icon. So it's an honor to be here again. It really is. So you see my screen? You see my screen okay?
Increasing leads.
All right, perfect. That's it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And my promise was to show you how to get 187% increase in your leads. And we're going to do just that. First of all, the thing I'm going to tell you that we have to do first is we have to decide how many leads do you really need, right? How many leads do you really need? And I think it's important to put a very finite number of this is what I need, so you know what kind of activity to do. Because one thing I found is the activity that'll get us, 50 leads a month may or may not be that same activity that will give us 100 or 200 or 500 leads a week or a month. And so first we have to say, what are you looking for? What do you really need to happen? And I think it's important to go, well, how much income do you need? And come up with a very specific number. I just interviewed a guy on on my podcast that I do, Dave, really sharp guy, loan officer down in Austin, Texas, Eddie Fouchang. And what we talked about is he was telling his branch manager, I want to make, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to make $200,000 this year. And when his branch manager ran him through this little exercise I'm going to show you here, come to find out $200,000 wouldn't have got him what he's looking for. He found out he really needed to make like $400,000. And so if he would have achieved his initial goal of getting this many leads, which gets me this many closings, which gives me this much money, if he'd have gotten exactly what he was goaling out for the year 2018, he would have fallen halfway short of what he found out he really needed. So if he would achieve those goals, he would have still, him and his family would have been unfulfilled because he didn't accomplish what he was really looking to do. And so the first thing I always tell everybody is, let's figure out how much income do you need? And like, what is your house payment, your car payment, your kids' schools? And Dave, I know you just, hope it's okay to say this. One of your daughters just got back from an epic trip to Africa. And what an amazing gift to be able to give your kids something like that. And so if you want to do something like that, or your savings, how much is your grocery, your electric bill, your vacations, your cool stuff, your toys, right? Motorcycles or whatever your toys are, charities, right? Giving back in my belief system, giving back to God, and our retirement funds and our investments and our business and education trips, and keeping in mind that, you know, our taxes on average, most of us are at least 50%, maybe slightly over 50%. And so you have to figure out, how much money do I need to make first? And then once you figure out how much money you make, and let's just say, and I'm just going to use 200. We certainly don't want you to be at 200 because, you know, we've seen much higher numbers come from loan officers. But I just use 200 because it makes an easy multiple. So if you're looking to make 600 or 800 or 1.2 million, just use the 200 multiples to make it numbers work. But let's just say if your average loan amount, and this is what ours is in my, you know, I'm a branch manager, so this is what it is in my branch, about 175,000. And let's say, and this is not a conversation about bits, you know, are you getting 100 or 80 or 50 or 70 or 450? I don't care. That's between you and whoever's paying you. But just for easy math, let's say you're getting 100 bips. That means that each loan you make $1,750. So if we go, all right, if I want to make, for every $200,000, I need 114 closings, or 9.5 closings per month. And so now I've got the end in mind of, this is how many loans I need. How many leads do I need to get per loan? And we're going to see here in just a second that all leads are not created different. Where if I'm getting 200 leads doing this activity, I might actually get less closings than if I only get 10 leads doing this other activity. So it's all about, what's the least amount of activity you need to do to get the most amount of closed loans. This is not a race of who can get the most leads. It's who can get the most closings with the least amount of effort and the least amount of outgoing resources that you're doing. Does that make sense, Dave?
Makes total sense, Carl.
Okay.
And hey, real quick, Carl, before we go on, I do want to throw this out to the community. For those of you that have put this thought and this kind of planning into, you know, the year, you've already done this and you know how many leads you need to generate a month, please share that in the question section to GoToWebinar. Let us know. Carl and I, you know, the more we know who we're talking to, we can craft this conversation. So, you know, let us know how many leads you need a month. Let's just do it monthly. We don't want to know yearly. I don't want to know daily or weekly, but how many leads do you need a month? And I'm also just curious how many of you can just answer that. Like, literally, I know how many leads I need this month. You know, I'm going to learn a few things by how many people answer this question. By the way, I can already see not enough of you are answering this question. So for those of you that don't know that answer, I would just say, you got a takeaway already. You need to know that answer. You need the best of the best. When I ask them, you know, what's your goals? They're clear. How many leads do you need a month? They're going, I need this many a month, this many a week, this many a day. And I know what winning the day is. I know what winning the month is. So by the way, Carl, I'm going to just rip off some things. 33, 3.6 a day, 30 a month, 15, 25, 40, 70, 80, 18. You know, so by the way, for everybody that answered it, you know, this is not a takeaway. You've already checked this off your list. For everybody that didn't answer this or you hesitated, write it down. Get
Yeah.
this, nail this, and start measuring this, and you will see your production increase. Back to you, Carl.
No question. And I think, and Dave, you make a great point. It's not how many leads we need per month that we focus on. It's using that number to reverse engineer how many do we need a day. And the people that know this is how many I need per day, we don't have slow months. Because if we're only measuring per month and we get on the 25th of the month, go, dang, I'm like half down this month, it's too late. The game's over for that month. If we're measuring per day and we go on Wednesday, gee, on Monday and Tuesday, we got 5 less than what we need per day, or 2 less, or 1 day, or 20, or whatever that number is. You go, all right, on Wednesday, I need to put my war paint on. I need to focus. I need to re-hone my activities so that I still got all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and all day Friday to get my week up. So we don't have a slow month because we identify, it's like not keeping score on the football game until the game's over. That's no good. You keep a track of the score minute by minute by minute by minute. That's how you win a game. All right. So, and it's so important to have an exact number of how much you need because you've done your homework of this is why I need that much. That if you find yourself not doing the activity that you know you need to do to get those leads, that's okay. Just get your black marker and start striking things off. Okay, I'm not going to get that new car because I'm choosing not to do this activity, which I know will get me more loans and more closings. Because I'm letting little guy on my shoulder put negative crap in my head, I'm not going to go do that activity. I'm just going to mark off vacations. I'm just going to go mark off that. Charity would be the last thing I would mark off, but I'm going to go mark off that the kids going to college. I'm going to go mark off that we're going on vacations, or that I'm building up my retirement fund. So it's okay not to do the activity. Just figure out what are you going to mark off the list, because that's what you're doing, whether you think so or not. And if you just grab a number out there, I want to double my business, right? That's what we call that the rectal extraction method. You're just pulling out of your butt, and that's not a good way to run your business, right? You have to have a very precise, this is why I'm doing it. And if I choose not to do that activity, it's okay. Take something off the list. All right. So once we know how many loans we need to close per month, or the multiples of it, right? So then we go, all right, well, how many leads do we need to get that? And keep in mind, when we're saying, hey, I need to close 9.5 loans per month for the year, right? That's not like, and I get this all the time, Dave. I'll ask somebody, how many closings are you getting? And they'll say, whatever, 20 or 5 or 250 or whatever. They tend to give their best month for the year. Like I say, hey, how many loans you closed? They'll go 15. Well, they did close 15 in June, but that's the only month they did, right? So, and especially for you guys, Dave, you and I don't see it in our neck of the woods because of where we live, Tampa Bay and Southern California, and even Northern California. Our friends up in Minnesota and Michigan, in South Dakota, North Dakota, and Maine, hey, it slows down in the wintertime. It does. And so keep in mind that once you get that number, that's your minimum average per month. So in the summer months, we can't, if we're looking for 10, we can't close 10 in June, because in January, we might only close, half that amount. So you get the idea. All right. So just let's talk for a minute about, like, all leads are not created equal. So there's different kinds of leads, and I'm going to give you the primary sources of leads that we use. So the primary sources we use is social media, and primarily for us, that's going to be on Facebook. Even though we're finding some interesting things on LinkedIn, Facebook is definitely our go-to on this one. And the problem with the social media, well, we'll talk about that in a second, but the conversion rates run anywhere from what I see of other people doing, anyway from 0% to about 4.25% at a peak. And so if we get 100 leads, we're going to get somewhere between no closings and 4.25 closings if we do it right. And I'll show you, we'll walk through that here in just a second. We also get referrals from past database. They convert about 500% better than the social media. I'm not saying you shouldn't do the social media, but past database, first thing I would do. So they convert at about 25%. Referrals from agents, they also convert about 25% to closings. At least in my branch, that's the numbers we see. Unless, we're getting these boomtown leads, or, we're buying Zillow leads for real estate agents, it goes back, where did they get the source? And if they got the source from social media, it's back down to the 1 or 2%. Snail mailing, and I just put here, I'm not trying to be uncool with this, but snail mailing to strangers, like the title company gives us a list and we're just blasting out 5,000 mailers or 2,000 mailers. For me personally, I've never been able to turn a dollar that way. I've never won that game yet. I've seen some people that do, they got something figured out that personally I never quite figured out. For me, my conversions were 0.1% at best. So it didn't work out so well. So it's one thing to say, hey, I got 85 closings or 185 or 285. Where'd they come from and how are they convert is a whole different conversation. And are we clogging up our day converting 1% and 2% leads versus giving up that time when we could be converting 25% leads? So all leads are not created equal. So just briefly, let's go over some kind of pros and cons of the different leads. So social media, they're cheap. By the way, and I think you interviewed Chris Johnstone in the past. Is that correct, Dave?
I have, and plan to interview him again, and he's part of our community for sure.
So I'm going to tell you, and there's some other cool people that's doing this, right? So I'm not all sure who you've interviewed, and I've seen there's obviously some other really cool people. He's my go-to guy. I love the guys. I've learned so much from him. So, he certainly comes with my highest recommendations. But social media, we find they're cheap leads. A downside is they do require instant follow-up. And when I say instant follow-up, I don't mean like the same day. I mean like instant. Like you have to have somebody back in your office taking that call right then. If you're the person that's following up on that lead and you're out teaching a real estate class or doing a coffee appointment or meeting with a client, going over the awesome tools that Mortgage Coach provides for us to help us drastically increase our conversion leads. While you're making that great sale, which is a good use of your time, if you got an internet lead comes in and it's half hour, 45 minutes, or let's be honest, the next morning before you follow up on the lead, I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to work. Absolutely, positively, it's not going to work. So you can convert them. They require instant follow-up though. And there's some systems that you can use that'll do it automated for you, that it looks like it's you doing it, where it sends out text messages and it sends out emails and it actually calls. Dude, there's this really new thing. We're just testing this, Dave, where you record a pre-recorded message that sounds like it's live. And when an internet lead comes into the system, like 30 seconds later, they get a message dumped on their voicemail as if you're leaving it live. And then like 7 minutes later, they get a text message. And it all makes the phone ring back into you only with the people that's actually willing to have a conversation with you. And it gets rid of a lot of the tire kickers and the people that really don't want to talk to you. And so so it 100% generates incoming phone calls of people saying, yeah, tell me more about that mortgage. Once they call you back, like once you use these automated systems and these people call you back, now we're back to a 25% closing rate on those leads. So while the leads themselves, the raw leads are coming in, tend to run about 2%, 3%, using these automated systems, that instead of having to talk to 100 people to close those 2 or 3, we're only having to talk to like 10 people to close those 2 or 3, which is the same as past database and realtor referrals, at least in my office. So really interesting things on the horizon here. So I'll tell you more about it, but we're still in the testing phase, and I only like to share stuff that's actually proven to work. So we'll be talking about that more. But because of the low conversion rate of the social media, it's very difficult to scale. So if you're relying on that solely as a book of business, we find those loan officers typically cap off at about 5 loans per month, maybe somewhere in that range, because they're having to talk to 200 people to close those 5. And it's just, getting to 10 or 15 or 20 closings just isn't going to happen because you can't talk to that many people in a day. It's just not enough time in the day. And the other thing we find about the social media is because they're converting at this like 2 or 3%, typically, we tend to get a little calloused when we're talking to the people. And so sometimes you never know which are the 2 or 3 that's going to actually close. And so we end up like somebody that 2 or 3 that you actually have one of them on the phone, because your last 20 were tire kickers and you're a little tired and a little kind of aggravated over the whole situation, you might lose that one or two because you didn't identify them because you thought it was just like, oh, it's another tire kicker when it wasn't. And so so that's the challenges with the social media. Hang on, let me get a little swig here. Past database, just real quick. So, go ahead, Dave.
Hey, real quick. I want to know two things here. You know, whoever is killing it with, you know, social and Facebook marketing, if you've got a success story, whether it's small, big, or large, you know, share that. You know, let us know in questions how you're doing. Also, I was referred to Chris by Carl. I interviewed him once. He crushed it. I was very impressed with his content. He delivered a lot of value. I know there were people from our community that reached out to him. You know, I am looking for case studies. So I would love to, you know, anybody that is working with Chris, let us know how that's going. You know, we want to shine a light on that. I absolutely believe that the modern mortgage professional needs to have a social strategy. I mean, at a minimum, you need to have a presence so that when someone Googles your name, you are professional and you are intentional. Do I think everybody needs to be a social marketing guru in order to be successful in the mortgage industry? I do not. But do I think it's a tremendous opportunity? And for those that, you know, are interested, those that are excited about it, you could kill it. And by the way, if you're not interested and excited, you won't kill it, because in order to be good at anything in life, you need to be interested and excited about it. So I'll just leave it with, I would look for success stories. Please share them in questions, and we will shine a light on those. Back to you, Carl.
And I agree with you 1,000% there. And I think the secret to social media, Dave, is number one, I don't think we can be or you know, a social media guru per se, because it changes like literally every week. Their algorithms and whatnot. This is definitely, in my opinion, something to farm out. And there's some great people in our industry that do this. I don't want to mention any names because everybody has their own favorite. But you know, there's about 2 or 3 guys in our industry that's really good at this stuff. And I'm sure Dave, you know, at another time can, you know, talk about that and mention the people that he recommends. And you know, obviously, Dave, anybody you recommend, certainly. Obviously a good, you know, it comes from a good referral source, but this is definitely something you want to farm out. You do not want to be spending your day on Facebook. You can hire that out for chump change while you're going out and doing the face-to-face stuff, because that's, you know, that's really where the money is. And the social media is just a good way to warm up that face-to-face. So this is definitely a farm out thing, because you can farm it out and it looks like you're doing it and it's really somebody else doing it on your behalf. You like clone yourself, and while you're doing one set of activities, your clone is doing another set of activities. So that's how you scale up a business and close, you know, 100, 200, you know, 300 loans a month. It's by duplicating yourself. That's what I did. So like we average between 300 and 450 loans per month. And it's just, I've just cloned myself over and over and over and over and over. And that's how we have such, you know, incredibly high numbers. So referrals from past database. So again, the pros, it converts high, 25%. It's super cheap to do. So it's higher conversion rates. We find they typically don't shop us. They don't shop us. What it does require is I recommend calling your database once every quarter. You know, on some other class we can talk about the scripts, but basically just, hey, thanks for letting me help you in the past. How you guys doing? Hey, if you ever have any questions, can I count on you to give me a call? And that's the basic script. So we recommend calling a database 4 times a year. Sending out a monthly mailer. Dave, I know there's some killer content in Mortgage Coach to help us with that. So monthly mailer, weekly email, again, stuff in the community to help us do that. And again, on the past database, somebody else can do all of that. They can actually make your phone calls for you. They can send your monthly mailers out. They can do your weekly emails. So you can 100% farm that out so that you can be focusing in on something else. All right.
Carl, I want to jump in on this one too, real quick. So we believe that an annual mortgage review is the ultimate touch point, you know, and again, and I don't think you could do only one thing. So I think everything Carl recommended, you need to do it, you know, but I hope everybody on this call, you realize this is your residual income. If you know, close the loan well, which I think most sustainable, successful loan officers do, they close well. And then you manage your mortgages. You know, you say, hey, I'm not just helping you make the best decision in closing your loan. I'm going to manage your mortgage to make sure you always have the best loan. And then you do the things that Carl just said. You do an annual mortgage review. Put it this way. Out of every 1,000 past customers, there's 100 transactions a year, roughly 10%. So roughly, if you have 100, you've got 10 loans. And if you do that, I mean, you've got a residual in base, just like life insurance agents. This is residual income. All you got to do is make sure you do it. And then to Carl's point, while you may be a loan officer and that's what you love to do, great. You can hire and put team around that. And that's what Carl does. He'd have a client concierge, make sure they get the annual review, make sure they get the touch points. Bill Hillstad in the Friday call talked about how to, put your customers and create a custom group in Facebook. I'm with Carl, have a team member do that or have Chris do that. But that, by the way, another huge idea. And I do want to know, I want to throw it back out to the community in Q&A, how many past customer loans did you close last month or this month? And by the way, if you are not trending 10% per year, you're just leaving money on the table.
You hate money.
Back
you
to
hate
Carl.
if you're not marketing to your database, you hate money. I'm just telling you, it's the closest thing to free money you'll ever get. And the one thing I learned early in my career, Dave, I'm not in the mortgage business. I'm in the marketing to my database business. That's the business that I'm in. All right.
Boom. By the way, quote everybody, what business are you in again, Carl?
I'm in the marketing to my database business. 100%.
So everybody, write that down, put a stick yellow note, put it on your board. That's the business you're in. If I create an article out of this, my team, that's the headline right there. That's the business we're in. If you're in that business, we're in the residual income business. Back to you, Carl.
Yeah, exactly right. Referrals from agents, again, depending upon where the agent's getting the lead. So again, if they're just sending you over their Boomtown leads, the reason they're sending them over to you, they don't want to waste their time calling them. I'm not saying Boomtown's a bad thing. I'm not saying, I think it's a good thing. It's just, you have to figure out a way to automate and make it happen instantly, the lead follow up on that. If you're relying on following up on those Boomtowns when you quote, get around to it kind of thing, I'm just telling you, it ain't going to happen. So if we're talking about getting floor time leads from agents or from their past database or their marketing and things other than the internet, we find they convert at about 25%. So they have a higher conversion rate. We find that typically their clients won't shop you. And we find sometimes like the agents, when they're like, I'll have one or two agents or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 that, it seems like every time I'm working one of their deals, I get shopped to death. I stop working with those agents. Because the one thing I learned also in my career, look, and I'm not being disrespectful to our agents because they help me feed my family and I'm forever grateful for them. I love my agents. But always keep in mind, my friends, always keep in mind, there's 1,000 of them, and there's only one of you. There's 1,000 of them, there's one of you. So you're the prize. They aren't the prize. They're awesome. They're great. I'm not being disrespectful, but you're the prize because there's 1,000 of them and there's only one of you. So the odds are in your favor. So I find agents that have clients that don't shop me. Again, it's not that we take advantage of that. Obviously, we offer, competitive rates and we're doing the best thing in our client's behalf, but we just make sure there's a profit margin in there, enough to make it worth our while to run a business just like any other business. We do find that with the agents, it does require a weekly phone call. We send out a weekly text. Again, the weekly text somebody else can do on your behalf. And we send out a monthly mailer. And Dave, just as an FYI, the monthly mailer we send out, it's the exact same mailer we send to our past database of borrowers too. It's the exact same mailer.
Love that. Hey, Carl, real quick, I did want to just mention that we had a couple of questions, and a lot of people shared how many past customer loans they closed this month, and it's just not impressive. So first of all, thank you for the transparency, but the best gift you could give Carl and I is to take action on some of these ideas. One person asked, what is the service? It is the annual mortgage review. I did put a link to an article I wrote 2 weeks ago. So there is a link on that annual mortgage review. Please take action, guys. If you just took, like so far, the big takeaways have been, make sure that you've got goals and they're not monthly, they're weekly and they're daily around your goals. Make sure that you have intentionality around your strategies and make sure that you put your database first. So we're 30 minutes into this, Carl, and I think, I'm already thinking like the headline for today's call is going to be leads, 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 how to get more leads.
Yeah.
You are delivering on the promise here, man. Keep it coming.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Dave. So, okay, cool. So, and by the way, the weekly text that we send out on Thursday. And the text, so just as an FYI, we don't work on the weekends. So in my office, we don't work on the weekends. And so what we do is we send a text out on Thursday morning. Who are you working with this weekend that we need to pre-approve to make sure it's a good use of your time, ? Who are you working with this weekend that we need to pre-approve to make sure it's a good use of your time, ? And we send that out every Thursday morning. And again, somebody on our team, does it for all of our loan officers. I mean, they do it for like everybody. And that we find that to be very effective, because one thing you'll find is the top agents, they don't chance upon leads on the weekends because they already got their weekend scheduled out of who they're working with ahead of time. And we can pre-approve those people well in advance. We find it's typically the lower producing agents that they don't have anything scheduled for this weekend and something happens to fall in their lap. They're the ones that's calling you typically. Again, not being disrespectful to those agents, but it's not going to be typically your prime top agents that are getting leads that they have to have worked over the weekend because they've already got their weekend mapped out. So we just don't work the weekend. So we believe in spend that time with the family, and we work extra hard Monday through Thursday so that we can take time off on the weekend. Anyway, so snail mailing to strangers, I don't want to get into a whole lot of that. I've never been able to figure that one out, to be honest with you. It's expensive. It's low conversion rates. I personally avoid it. So getting our leads, our agents, we call them on our Monday morning phone calls. I've heard different variations of the Monday morning script. To me, the bottom line, if Dave has some good points in the mortgage code, it's such a enormous source of good stuff that I borrow from all the time. But the bottom line is, who did you work with over the weekend that I can help you with? On Tuesdays, we update our agents, right? And again, I've seen different versions of these things. There's only so many ways to get leads from agents, and this is the way to do it. On your Tuesday update calls, I think everybody knows about this. The thing is, when we're doing Tuesday update calls with the borrower, the co-borrower, the listing agent, the buying agent, the title company, it's not really an update call. That's kind of the Trojan horse, so to speak. The real reason we're calling on Tuesday is to say, oh, by the way, who else are you currently working with? And can I count on you for the next buyer lead so I can update you on them? I'd like to work with you even more. You're the kind of person I like to work with. I mean, once you're closing about 12 to 13 to 14 loans per month, your primary growth of your business will come from making your Tuesday update calls. Because now you're talking with, if you've got 12 closings per month, you probably got 17, 18 listing agents per month, right? And we go after those. And I'm going to tell you right now, the redheaded stepchild of the business that will blow the doors off your business in a very cool way is the title companies. Call the title companies every Tuesday, give an update of the loan, and tell them how much you appreciate working with them. Oh, by the way, what agents have been through you think would be a good introduction for me? What agents maybe had a hard time at the closing last week that you think would be a good introduction for me, so I can call and update you on those people too. The title companies used to loan officers and real estate agents always pissing and moaning and complaining and throwing rocks at them. Be the one that loves on them, right? If it's RESPA compliant, send them over a box of cookies and congratulations for the closing. Run that by your organization first. Make sure it's RESPA compliant. But at the very least, call and thank them up and ask them for who they can refer you to. I'm going to tell you right now, our primary source of new business, of new agents, is from the title companies. So call them up every Tuesday. Again, referrals from calling our past database. We do that every week. So this is our weekly activity that we do. And then referrals on Thursdays, we call all the people that's pre-approved looking that we got the leads on last time. We've done all the heavy lifting, got them to put an application. Call them up every Thursday and ask them how the house hunting's going. Are they going out this weekend? Do they need to crunch some numbers? Right? Call them every single Thursday with that. And then we talked about the Thursday text to the agents. All right, I got a couple more things I want to show you real quick. So in my group, we keep track of the loan officer's activities. And so this is one. This happens to be Greg Freeman, super cool guy. He's out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I know this is kind of fuzzy, Dave, 'cause I blew it up here on screen so you could see it, but let me just kind of run through it. These are all of his leads he has so far for the month. And this is actually like about, I think like a week old, if I remember right. It maybe not, but it might be somewhat up to date. But anyway, you can see here, he's got all these leads here, right? These are his leads he got. By the way, these don't carry over from last month. This is this month's leads. These are the leads that came in this month. And by the way, in his case, these are not internet leads. Nothing wrong with those, right? There's some really cool stuff with those. These are strictly referred leads from agents, title companies, in his past database. But look here's how he generates this stuff, guys. And this is no breaking news to anybody. This part right here, this is his face-to-face appointments. And if you look here, when he sent this over to me, he has 49 face-to-face appointments with top producing real estate agents so far for the month. And the month's not over yet, right? 49 face-to-face. This is not popping by their office and there's 10 of them there together. This is not teaching a class where there's 24 of them at the same place. This is on purpose, set on his schedule, meeting them at Starbucks, meeting at his office, a scheduled 30 to 45-minute meeting. This is how many people he met with. This is how many agents. This is not the borrowers coming in. This is agents that he's having face-to-face with, or title companies that he's having face-to-face with, right? These aren't at the closing table. These are, hey, let's talk about doing business together meetings. You follow me? 49 of them. And I'd ask you on the call, and I don't mean to be uncool about that, when's the last time you met with 49 face-to-face top producing agents that are closing at least 10 buyer sides per year in the last 12 months? When's the last time you met with 49 of them all in 1 month, right? That's where the business comes from, is like this face-to-face, good old-fashioned coffee appointments, right? And when he does that, if you look at this, yes, sir.
Hey, I want to just jump in because I want to make sure something you said doesn't get missed. You defined what a great realtor is for this loan officer, and it's 10 buyer side transactions a year. And it's how many meetings did you have with that type of agent? So I just want to make sure everybody, you heard that it's not just realtor meetings. It's a specific type of realtor,
qualified,
a specific standard of realtor. And so I want to throw this out to the group. What's the criteria in which you manage in order for it to be an agent that you're going to put into your system, that you're going to drive meetings around? Is it 10 buyer side transactions? Is it a certain number of listings? And again, I don't want any paragraphs. I want like one bullet point. What is the criteria in which, for someone to be someone that you target, that you get meetings with? What is that criteria? Please share that in questions. I'll bring that back into the conversation. I just want to make sure everybody caught what you just said and that didn't just go past everybody without connecting the dots.
Absolutely. Yeah. Make sure who you're meeting with is qualified, right? Make sure they're qualified. So, all right. So I see we got about 10 minutes left here. I got a couple things I want to make sure we cover. So the bottom line is, look at your own business. What did you do to bring in your last 10 loans? Do more of that and less of everything else. You follow me? So how did you bring in your last 10 loans? Do more of that. And don't just say, well, I gave great service. No. Something happened for you to get that lead, for you to give good service to begin with. So go down the source of the Nile. Where did you get the leads from your last 10 deals? And whatever that activity was, just do more of it, right? Do 187% more of that, and you'll get 180% more loans. Do 500% more of that, and you'll get 500% more loans. It's just as simple as that. So the thing to keep in mind, your job as a loan officer is traffic. Your job is to drive traffic to your machine. That's your job. That's what high-paying loan officers get. And great tools like Mortgage Coach provides will help you and your team convert more of those deals. So a lot of our teams are using Mortgage Coach to do the conversion, and the loan officers out generating the leads, right? So we go, if there's all these sources, why are some getting so few and others getting so many? And it's because for the most loan officers that we see kind of struggle in this area, it's because they're doing everything. And I think we talked about this last time, David. It'd be like if you and I went on a car dealership and went to go buy a new car, and we go in the dealership and there's nobody there on the car lot. And we go into the office and say, hey, me and Dave are here to pay cash for a couple new Mercedes. Where's the car salesman? Oh, they're in the back changing the oil. They're in the back fixing the brakes. Oh, we had a recall on the airbags. They're back there fixing that. If you'll leave your name and your phone number, they'll call you back in about 2 or 3 hours when they finish doing that tune-up on the car they sold last week. Right? We'd think, what the hell's wrong with these people? They're bozos, right? They're crazy. But in the mortgage industry, that's the way we were taught to do it. And it's nobody's fault. It's just nobody's ever actually really thought about it. Don't do fulfillment, right? Your team does fulfillment. Just like the lady that sold you your copier that's in your office is not the same lady or gentleman that comes and fixes it, right? It's two different people. So one person does the traffic, the other person does fulfillment. Do the same thing in your mortgage business. Real quick, I'm going to run you through, like, when a loan comes into our office, how is it handled? Because our goal in all this stuff is to free you up. Because what's happening with most of you now, or many people I find in the loan officers when I go around the nation, speak to loan officers, is I find they really don't want to do more loans, Dave, because then they're going to have even more work. And if they're already working 60 hours a week and 80 hours a week, and they're working on the weekends and they're working on the evenings, and they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they go, dude, I don't want any more leads because I don't want any more work because I've created a job, not a business, right? So you have to be able to farm this out, because you really don't want new leads, because you may be doing everything, and you have to get off that part. So I'm just going to spend like 5 minutes and show you how it works in our office. So the phone rings. It doesn't ring to my cell phone, the loan officer's cell phone. It never rings into their cell phone. A receptionist answers it, because if the loan officer is in the office doing a cost analysis with a client, converting the lead they got from yesterday or last week, and then a new lead comes on the phone, you're not going to be disrespectful to your client that you're running over through your mortgage coach presentation by saying, hang on, you wait, I got to take this lead. But yet the lead that's calling you, they're trying to give you money. Make it easy for them. So if somebody's trying to give you money, make it easy for them. You follow me? Make it easy for them. That's why you and I all know that the Rocket Mortgage is all smoke and mirrors. The consumers don't know that. They think it's an easy peasy, push a button and I get a loan. We all know it's smoke and mirrors, but that's what they want. They just want the money. They want the loan, and they want it like easy. So don't make them wait on you, right? Have somebody answer the phone. So in our office, the phone rings. It never goes to the loan officer's phone. It always goes to the receptionist. And the receptionist asked a simple question. Is this a loan in process, or is this a new application? Doesn't matter which one. It all goes to the loan officer assistant, or the loan partner, or the closing coordinator, whatever you want to call it. So in our case, this is just one of many, but let's say this is Jackie, right? So the receptionist answer it. Is this a new loan or a new application? Awesome. Let me move you to Jackie. And how that works, by the way, if they say, hey, I'd like to speak to Dave Savage. I was referred by Tim Brahim to call David to get a mortgage. The receptionist said, or the loan partner then says, well, this is Jackie. Dave wouldn't want you to wait. Dave's actually with another client right now, but Dave wouldn't want you to wait. Here, we're going to move you to the front of the line, put you as a VIP client. Here, I'll go ahead and start helping you. And then when Dave's done, he'll call you back and tell you about the different loan programs available for you. So let's go ahead and move you to the front of the line. Nobody's going to say, no, move me to the back of the line. I'd rather wait. Even though Dave's awesome, and he is, they want help now. And if you tell me, hey, Carl, would you like to move to the front of the line? Who's going to say no, right? Who's going to say, you don't say, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I need you to speak to Jackie. No. Jackie's going to move everybody to the front of the line. All right. So now Jackie takes the call, right? And just as an FYI, these receptionists and these loan officer assistants or loan partners, they can be local or they can be virtual. We have them all throughout the country, and they may or may not even be in the same state as the loan officer they serve. And we use a system called Ring Central for our phone services. All right. So now that the loan officer assistant is on that call, has moved them to the front of the line, again, she's licensed. She takes a complete application. She pulls credit. She runs DU. She requests the required documents. She determines which program is best for her. But get this, guys, she doesn't discuss with the client. She doesn't discuss with the client. So she'll say, hey, Mrs. Jones, so I got your information. Dave's going to give you a call back and discuss which programs you qualify for. including programs you might not have even thought to ask about. And then Jackie opens up Dave's calendar, like we use Google Calendar. She opens up Google Calendar, and Dave has these green spots on his calendar. He might have, some in the morning, some in the afternoons for the different days of the week. And Jackie says, well, Dave's available today at 3 o'clock or tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Which works best for you, Mr. and Mrs. Borrower? And they say this afternoon at 3 o'clock is fine. So she then puts that person's name on Dave's calendar, which he gets an automatic notification. Hey, somebody's just been added on your calendar at 3 o'clock, right? And then she texts Dave, hey, Dave, I just talked to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. They were referred by Tim Brahim. I ran their app. I ran DU. I pulled credit. Looks like they're going to be best for this program or that program. I have not discussed that with the client, Dave. That's your job. I just took the information and I'm giving a suggestion of what I see. So then Dave gets back in the office at 3 o'clock, calls him up, either gets him to come into the office, talks a program over the phone, sends out the video, the cool video stuff that Mortgage Coach does. He sells the deal. He sells the program, sells the rate. And when the borrower says, yeah, that looks good to us, Dave, he turns it back over to Jackie, the loan officer assistant, and Jackie then takes it to closing, right? And the loan officers every Tuesday and Thursday do 15-minute pipeline updates with Jackie. And by the way, Jackie even delivers the bad news. One thing that we found, Dave, if we left it to the loan officer to do the bad news, we're eternal optimists. And we think, well, maybe this will end up working out, so I'll hold off on giving the bad news. So Jackie's the one that actually gives the bad news. And Jackie then tells Dave, go get another loan. Go get another loan. And that's how these loan officers are able to have, 30, 40, 50 coffee appointments with these realtors all the time, because they're not back in the office fixing the brake, changing the oil. They sell the deal and then move on to get the next deal. And that's what they spend their time doing. So the loan officer, all they do is once Dave looks on his calendar at 3 o'clock, either meets him in person or meets him on the phone, whichever system works best for you guys. The loan officer verifies the information on the 1003 to make sure Jackie did a good job. By the way, if Jackie didn't do a good job, from time to time, we're either going to retrain or replace her. But he verifies the 1003, he sells the program and the rate, he gives back to the loan partner, and then he goes out and makes a phone ring with another lead using the methods that we just talked about. That's how our people get so many leads. They're just spending their time getting leads and not spending their time taking an application. And Dave, I used to think, well, gee, only I can take the application because that's when I'm bonding. I found that's simply not true. That's simply not true. And so then the loan partner gets the loan into processing, gathers the required docs, babysits the client, keeps the ball rolling, updates the clients every Tuesday, asks for more business from those people, and clears all loan officer conditions. And Dave, we find the hardest part is getting the loan officer to let go, trusting your loan officer assistant, and being okay with this free time and not feeling guilty for now having the weekends to hang out with your buddies and your family. And to make sure they're doing money-making activity every day. And that's the bottom line. So that's how we handle loans in my office, and that's the method that we teach. And that's how our people get more leads. It's not that we have this secret source. We're using the same source as everybody else. It's just we're doing it more often. And if you want 187% more closings, you do that lead getting activity 187% more of the time. And now that you're not doing all this other activity, you have time to do those things. It's all about the team, Dave. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We've got all kinds of questions, testimonials, people killing it. It does look like in terms of, realtors, most of the mortgage coach community is focused on someone that's either one buyer side a month, 10, 12 a year, or top 100 in their markets. So good job, everybody.
Yeah.
Carl, you're just a wealth of expertise. You've got a great community that masterminds. A lot of people are asking if they want to go to the next level with you or they want to learn more from you. How can they connect? And, how can our community become part of your community, whether that's, just following you online or premium, hiring you as a coach? What does that look like?
Dude, are you saying it's okay for me to make a shameless plug? Is that what I'm hearing you say? So
first of all,
hey,
I wouldn't have you on this call if I didn't think that's how I could best serve my community, is
All right.
going deeper with you.
Well, I appreciate that. And just to let you know, Dave, and you know that, I'm letting everybody else know. So I refer in our community, Dave and Mortgage Coach, because I think it's a great service. There is no dollars being shared between me and Dave. So I recommend him without him sending me a dollar, and he's kind enough to do the same. So it's because we believe in each other's systems. It's not because somebody's getting a buck of somebody. Hey, you know, if you just want to have probably the best way, Dave, and I know you guys work kind of the same way. If you want to do a strategy call where we'll get on the phone for like an hour and we'll map out a strategy. If nothing else, we'll give you a step-by-step of exactly what to do. And if you want us to help you put that plan into use, awesome. If you just want to get that plan and go do it alone by yourself, you are absolutely welcome to do that. No hard feelings whatsoever. Let's see, if you go to loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com, it'll take you a little questionnaire to tell me a little bit about your business. It's confidential. We don't share that with anybody. It's either myself or Scotty or Ralph. We don't share that information with anybody. We just use it to help best prepare for the strategy session, because this is a full hour strategy session. It's not a sales pitch, it's a strategy session. And then if you'd like us to help you implement that plan, would love to talk to you about doing that. But again, you are absolutely welcome to take that plan and do it on your own. So loanofficerstrategycall.com. And that's what I got, Dave.
All right. So everybody, we will put a link. And Carl, if you don't mind sharing that in our Facebook group. By the way, folks, if you do have more questions for Carl, put those in the Mortgage Coach Mastermind Facebook group, and Carl will put a link to that loanofficerstrategycall.com. And just that call alone will create value for you. So please keep me updated on the success stories that come from this call. We want to hear about it. Carl, we did have a couple people ask, I'm trying to look for it. You shared a copy of, by the way, someone asked for a copy of this presentation. This is recorded. It will be in our YouTube page, literally within hours. We have a playlist on the front. It will say Tuesday calls, Friday calls. This will be the first one in the Tuesday calls. Someone asked for something else. I think they were referring to that like a blank version of that sheet that you showed that was all filled out. If this is your proprietary stuff, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and we'll discuss all this stuff on the strategy call. So the strategy call is not like an hour sales pitch. We're actually going to go through this and how do you get leads and what do you say to meet with the agents and how do you get referrals from them and what's the script when you make your realtor calls, what's the script when you do your Tuesday updates, what's the script when you call your past agent. We can talk about all that stuff on your strategy call. So we'll show everything, and I mean you're going to get like the scripts and everything that we don't. So it's not a teaser thing. We truly map out a plan. It's a really cool thing. I'm obviously I'm biased, but I think it's a really cool thing, and I think it'll definitely benefit you. But yeah, we can go over all this stuff. We can show you what we track, how we fill it out, what our conversion rate. This thing here is really cool because what this really is, number one, it's an accountability form, which I like that. But really, it's a diagnostic tool because like if I look, somebody's got 80 leads and they've only got 10 applications. I go, okay, well, our issue is we're not converting our leads to apps. What's the issue? Or if we got a whole bunch of apps, like if we look at Greg here, and I got his permission to share this, by the way. But if we look at Greg here, Greg's got 40 applications, and of those 40, looks like 30 of them turned into pre-approvals. That's about right. So in other words, his lead source, half of the people apply can actually get a loan. So that's a good number. If we saw, hey, on these, he's getting 40 apps and he's only getting like 7 pre-approvals out of those apps, it means his lead source is I say dirty, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but his lead source is a low level quality of lead. We're going to want to look for another lead source. So it's not how many leads we're getting. It's not how many applications we're getting. Or if we saw he's getting a whole bunch of pre-approvals and not many closings, we'd go, all right, why aren't your pre-approvals buying? And if it's because he's up north and it's 10 feet of snow on the ground in January, well, that's a good reason. If it's in May, June, and July, and you've got all these pre-approvals, and you're not getting contracts, it means we're not following up with these pre-approvals to make sure we get in their contract. So this is a phenomenal diagnostic. It's like going to the doctor and getting your temperature, your blood pressure, your blood work. This is a phenomenal tool to use to find out where in your business does your focus need to be. And often it's not where you think it is.
Yeah, no doubt. And in our community, and I'm sure a lot of people do too, a lot of people use the Win by Noon planner. But guys, call Carl, go to town on this. There's so much that's been shared. You know, I am going to put the headline for this call: leads, 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 how to close more loans. I changed it to, because this call really helped you review lead sources, and it gave you a process to close more loans, not just get more leads. So it's been a fantastic call. I want to remind folks, the recording of this will be in our YouTube channel. I'm showing my screen right now. If you know a new loan officer, share our playlist for new loan officers. But right here, Tuesday interviews, this call will be the next call here. Last week's call with Kristen Messerly was fantastic. Between the two of us, we really defined what is the modern loan officer. And I want to put a distinction, because a lot of people, like I asked, hey, what's the modern loan officer? And I had things like, you know, prospecting, business development, you know, success-oriented things. And by the way, you can be a modern loan officer and not be a very successful loan officer. You know, modern loan officer uses technology to advise and coach, but that doesn't mean you're successful. You know, if you are not doing business development, if you are not prospecting, if you are not doing the kinds of things that Carl talks about, you might be modern, you might have cool tools and tech, you won't be successful. So, you know, the most successful loan officers of today and tomorrow, they use their CRM, they use tools like Mortgage Coach, and you know what? They prospect. By the way, team building. You know, if there were like 3 things that really epitomize the modern successful mortgage professional, it's relationship building, it's prospecting, it's team building, and then it's everything that Kristen and I talked about last week. By the way, do you agree with that, Carl?
Dude, I agree 1,000%. And, you know, wait, I gave a promise at the beginning of the call. Number 1, how to get leads. I think we did that. Number 2, conversion. Use your Mortgage Coach tools for that. So just as an FYI, Dave, you're the conversion king. It's one thing to drive a bunch of traffic. It's another thing to convert those into closings. And brother, I nothing holds a candle. And you said programs like Mortgage Coach. It's my firm belief there isn't another program like Mortgage Coach. There's only one. And dude, I've been a huge fan for years and years and years. If you want to convert more loans, use the tools that Dave provides to you. 100%. That is the way to convert more deals. Period.
Thank you very much, brother. Hey, right now I just pushed a survey. Let us know, did Carl and I surpass your expectations with value? If you are a guest to the community and you want to learn more about Mortgage Coach, click the last option. The reviews are coming in. Obviously, you did a great job, Carl. By the way, everybody, thank you for trusting Carl and I with an hour of your time. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, like it. You know, if you got value for this, give us a like, give us a comment, and share this with other mortgage friends. Help us bring this value of today's call to the mortgage community. Carl and I, you know, why do we do this? We do this to create value, create legacy, and make loan officers successful. Do we make money when we do that? Absolutely. We are both in business to make money, but we do that, and we only get paid when you get paid a whole lot more than we do. So Carl, I am super grateful for you taking time. I'm looking forward to being in your community sometime and coming to one of your masterminds one of these days. And Mortgage Coach community, when you have Carl White success stories, I want to hear about it. And if you have more questions for Carl, let me know what they are, and we'll get him back in the community. Thank you, my man.
I appreciate you, brother. It's always a pleasure.
Take care. Have a great week, everybody.